The midnight shift at McDonald's turned into a nightmare. Each part will be around 300 words, written in a suspenseful, vivid, voice-over-friendly narrative format. Part 1, the first hour. It started like any other Friday night. Tyler had worked the graveyard shift at the McDonald's just off Highway 19 for nearly 6 months. Quiet, predictable, and, best of all, alone, aside from the occasional trucker or late-night drifter. At 11:58 p.m., he clocked in, slipping into his grease-stained uniform as the last of the evening crew filed out. The restaurant fell into a sterile silence. Fluorescent lights buzzed above him, and the deep fryer hissed as if whispering some mechanical secret. But that night felt different. The security cameras had been glitching since sunset, blinking out in random intervals. Tyler had reported it, but no one cared. "You'll be fine," his manager had laughed, tossing him the keys. "Ain't nobody gonna rob a McDonald's at midnight." Tyler wiped down the counter, flipping the switch to dim the lobby lights. That's when he saw it, a figure standing motionless at the far end of the parking lot. Just standing. No car. No motion. Just watching. He squinted. The figure seemed tall, too tall, like its proportions weren't quite right. Then it vanished, swallowed by the night like it was never there. He shook it off. Probably someone messing around. At 12:17 a.m., the drive-thru speaker crackled. "Hello," Tyler said, instinctively reaching for the headset. Static. He leaned closer. "You forgot me." Tyler froze. The voice was deep, raspy, like wind dragging across broken glass. But no car was outside. Nothing on the camera. Nothing on the lot. "I'm still waiting." The hairs on Tyler's neck stood on end. He yanked the headset off, heart pounding. It had to be a prank, right? But the fryer had stopped hissing. And from the back hallway, a cold breeze drifted through, though no doors had opened. Something wasn't right. Tyler grabbed a flashlight from under the counter and stepped into the hallway leading to the supply closet and freezer. The motion sensors didn't activate. The hallway stayed dim and unsettling, lit only by the swinging beam of his flashlight. The breeze had grown colder. He passed the freezer, closed. The supply closet, empty. But the air, it felt like it was breathing. Slow, steady exhales brushing the back of his neck. He turned. Nothing. Just the hum of flickering lights overhead. Then something new. A door. One that hadn't been there before. Wedged between the janitor's closet and the circuit panel was a narrow, steel door with a faded sign. Authorized personnel only in 1987. Tyler blinked. He'd worked here for months. That door didn't exist yesterday. He reached for the handle. Icy to the touch. It didn't budge at first, but after a few tries it creaked open, releasing a rotten stench that nearly made him gag. Inside, the walls were tiled like the rest of the kitchen, but stained, yellowed, and covered in childlike drawings. Crude stick figures with wide red mouths and hollow eyes. Some had McDonald's uniforms scribbled onto them. One drawing in the center showed a figure crying beneath a golden M with the words, "He never left." Suddenly, a light flickered on in the corner of the room. Tyler stepped closer. It was an old employee locker, rusted and chained shut. The locker vibrated, thudding from inside. Like someone, or something, was trapped inside. He stepped back. Then, without warning, the drive-thru headset activated again from the kitchen. "Come back," the voice whispered. "I'm still hungry." The locker slammed violently. Tyler ran. But the steel door had vanished behind him. Only blank wall remained. Tyler staggered back into the kitchen, chest heaving. His hands trembled as he grabbed his phone. No signal. No Wi-Fi. The app to monitor security cameras was frozen on static. He tried calling 911, but the phone didn't even ring. It just hissed like someone breathing into his ear. Then the front door bell dinged. Tyler whipped around. A customer had walked in. A boy, maybe 10 years old, in a faded birthday hat and party shirt. His eyes were dull, unfocused, his movements unnatural, like a puppet forced into motion. Behind him, 3 more entered. A girl with torn pigtails, a man in a 90s uniform, and something else. Something tall, covered in shadow. No footsteps. No sound. The air grew thick like syrup, hard to breathe. "Welcome to McDonald's," Tyler said automatically, backing away. "What can I get you?" None of them answered. The boy stepped forward and placed a torn dollar bill on the counter. "One Happy Meal," he said flatly. His voice didn't match his face. It was deeper, cracked, wrong. Tyler fumbled to put together the meal, praying it would just make them go away. He handed over the box with shaky hands. The boy smiled. But it wasn't relief. It was hunger. "You forgot the toy," the boy whispered. Behind him, the man in uniform grinned wide, too wide, and slammed both hands onto the counter. "You always forget the toy." The lights dimmed. The friar hissed violently and then stopped. The tall shadow moved closer, shape distorting. It began to whisper. Tyler backed away toward the exit. But when he looked through the glass doors, they weren't there anymore. The restaurant was surrounded by a fog-soaked void. There was no way out. Tyler darted into the office, slamming the door behind him. He shoved a chair under the knob, heart pounding like a war drum. The office lights flickered but stayed on, barely. He dug frantically through the filing cabinet, searching for something, anything that made sense. Then he found it. An old employee file. Yellowed and brittle, marked with a single name, Jeremy Hall. Hire date, 1987. Position, night shift supervisor. Status, terminated, never clocked out. Attached was a grainy photo. Tyler's blood ran cold. It was the man in the uniform, the one at the counter. Jeremy's file included a report. Disappeared during overnight hours. No trace found. Store reopened without incident. Do not discuss with new hires. Underneath that, a handwritten note in red ink. Still here. Still waiting. Always waiting for the last order. The overhead intercom crackled. Then the boy's voice returned, distorted and echoing inside the office. "You forgot the toy again." The office door groaned as something pressed against it from the other side. The chair beneath the knob creaked. Then a whisper, so close it felt like it came from inside Tyler's own head. "Clock out." The wall behind the desk shifted. Tile cracked, revealing a time clock embedded in the wall, ancient and rusted, glowing faintly red. Tyler stepped closer. The buttons were covered in grime, except for one that pulsed faintly. "Clock out." Tyler reached out, almost hypnotized. The pressure on the door stopped. Silence fell. The restaurant went still. He pressed it. A shrill alarm blared. The lights exploded. And when he opened his eyes, he was standing back at the counter. Everything was reset. Grill sizzling. Fryer bubbling. Lobby empty. Time on the wall, 11:59 p.m. It was starting again. Tyler stood frozen, staring at the clock. 11:59 p.m. Everything was where it had been at the start of his shift. Fries crackling, coffee brewing, lights humming. But he wasn't the same. His hands were dirty, streaked with grease and dried blood. His reflection in the drive-through window looked older, gaunt, hollow-eyed, like he hadn't slept in weeks, or eaten, or escaped. He tried to leave. The front doors were locked. The back hallway led only to the same steel wall. No service. No sounds from the outside world. Only that familiar buzz of fluorescent lights. Like the restaurant was on a loop, and he was caught inside it. The headset chirped. Tyler didn't want to answer. It chirped again. He picked it up slowly. "One last order," the voice whispered. "Then you can go." He didn't respond. But the register beeped anyway. An order had printed itself. Number 666, one Happy Meal with toy. He turned toward the prep station. A fresh box waited there, already assembled, steaming with food. Inside, a toy, a tiny, grinning Ronald McDonald figure, its painted eyes scratched out. He turned to the counter, and the boy was back. Same birthday hat. Same blank stare. Tyler handed him the meal. The boy didn't move. He just stared. Still not the right toy. The lights went out. When they came back on, Tyler was alone. Only the meal box remained on the counter. Empty. He stepped backward, heart pounding. Then the register beeped again. Another order printed. Number 667, one Happy Meal with toy. The clock now read 12 a.m. A new loop had begun. And through the drive-through speaker came the voice of someone new, soft and shaking. "Hello? Is anyone working tonight?" Tyler opened his mouth to scream. But no sound came. He couldn't remember how.